serve small business. We do a lot of access to capital, a lot of SBA lending. So some of you who have had some SBA experience have had probably SBA loans, and I'll talk a little bit about SBA loans in a bit. We do a lot of counseling to small businesses directly and through a lot of partners. A lot of small businesses come to us, look for financing for their business. They need the capital to start and grow their business, but they really are not really prepared. I always find that small businesses are so interesting because they're so creative and they have talents and skills and they have a craft, but they don't really have a business structure around them. So what SBA really helps a small business entrepreneur do is really get the tools to be able to craft a business into something that will be something that they can be able to get financing for, and they can grow and they can sell and grow their business. So we do a lot of technical assistance. I think that is equally as important. I think Kelly mentioned that TMC Working Solutions does a lot of assistance in providing technical assistance to go along with the financing that in this case is SBA microlending. And it's more specialized is that we do a lot of work with small businesses that are looking to do contracting with federal agencies. One of the things that everyone probably would common sense recognize is the biggest single purchaser of any goods and services, worldwide is the federal government. But if you're a large business, you're much more prepared to be able to sell to federal agencies than if you're a small business. While the good news about the federal government is that it probably will pay its bills, the bad news is it's complicated to get to those agencies to be able to sell to and be able to do work through. So we do a lot of work with small businesses that are trying to get into federal contract work. And that extends actually, and I'm sure Martha will mention it too, that extends also beyond just federal contracting, but recognizing that a lot of small businesses really want to do work with other public agencies, whether it's state or local, or transit districts or corporations. So in a lot of ways, the same kinds of things we try to help small businesses understand in federal contracting applies to other public contracting and corporate contracting. So a lot of small business folks really need to get an understanding of how to really break into the contracting, and especially in the public sector side. So those are kind of a little bit of a sense of the range of what SBA does. Here in San Francisco, we work with a lot of partners. In fact, everybody putting on the session today, PCV is an SBA partner that is doing a loan program with us in this first year. This is a relatively new PCV SBA connection. The city of San Francisco does a lot of training with us and is a great partner with SBA in San Francisco with the city. Barbara with WIP is our Women's Business Advocate of the Year a year ago because she is such a great advocate on behalf of women business. And TMC Working Solutions both does an SBA loan program called the 504 loan program and does the micro-lending program. So I think that one of the things that we recognize is that no organization does it by themselves. We all have to collectively play a role that supports small business. So I think that one of the themes, if you will, is really that it takes really an entire environment of small business support to really support small business. And I think that that's what SBA tries to do. Why don't I just give you a couple of numbers. You're allowed to take 3 numbers home because otherwise you'll forget everything else. SBA in San Francisco, this is the last week of our year. The federal fiscal year ends at the end of September. In California, we'll probably do around $4 billion worth of SBA lending. In Northern California and San Francisco market, we will do a little over $1 billion worth of lending that is SBA guarantee loans and SBA 504 loans. So we have a lot of SBA activity that we do in Northern California and throughout California. The 2 SBA lending programs, which is what a lot of people want to talk about, are really the real estate program, which is called the 504 program. So if you're a small business looking to buy the building that you're operating your business from, that program allows you to get a 90% financing, a high leverage loan to buy the building that you're operating your business from. And so small businesses have always found that has been, over time, a good strategy for developing assets for their business, and in many cases even retirement strategies for their small business. So the 504 program is really for real estate acquisition. The 7A program, or the guarantee program, is where SBA guarantees a loan that a small business lender, and it could be a lender as large as Wells Fargo or small community lenders, SBA guarantees 75% of the loan, that a borrower will be able to get access to financing that they otherwise wouldn't get, because the lender would see that borrower for a variety of reasons. Either they're too young, they're a startup, they may be in a type of industry like, say, restaurants that seem too risky from a lender's point of view. They may not have enough collateral in their business. So for a variety of reasons, a lender would see that business to have the cash flow to repay a loan, but not have the history and the capital structure to be able to access lending at that point in time. Down the road, as that business grows and is successful, they can see that, but today they really need to have the backup that an SBA guarantee provides them. So SBA plays that role in that earlier stage, most cases after businesses have started up and have revenue, but before they really are strong enough to be able to get commercial financing without a guarantee that SBA provides. So our typical structure is that we will guarantee to a bank 85% of the loan is guaranteed to the bank, and then the loan is actually made by a bank to the small business and then repaid back to the bank. And only in the event of a default does SBA step in and pay the bank in those cases. Most small businesses do pretty well. The defaults in Northern California are lower really than the San Francisco market, lower really than any other large market in the country. So we've got a really strong group of small business lenders. About 105 lenders will make at least one SBA loan this year. We have a very strong group of small business entrepreneurs in a good business environment. So over time, over a long period of time, this has been a very strong SBA market, a very successful one for the small business community. And then the third tier of SBA lending, as Kelly said, is really the micro lending. And that's really for the businesses that are looking for loans less than $50,000, early stage loans for non-bankable type business. They're non-bankable, not because they don't have a good business or a good business idea, but in many cases they're too young, they don't have the collateral that a bank would be looking for, they have relatively short-term cash flow that they've seen that they, from the lender's point of view, can't really see the historical track record of revenues and profits that they want to see to be able to make a conventional loan or an SBA loan. So and very honestly, the other part of it is that small business lenders are very averse to doing tiny loans. Loans under $50,000 are hard to get from a small business lender because small business loans cost the same to a bank as a larger loan. So just like everybody else that's a business person in the room, they want to see the biggest deal, if you will. So doing those small loans are not really as profitable from a lender's point of view, but from a small business point of view, those are the kind of deals and those are the kind of loans that many people are looking for in that early stage growth. So our micro lenders play a key role in that evolution of a business, getting started, getting early stage financing, and growing to larger capital needs. So I'll stop there because I know we're going to have questions and answers. And I guess I'm going to turn it over to one of my two favorite people here, Martha.
Yeah. I did prepare a brief PowerPoint, so to our office to seek assistance. And so I always tell people when we're on a panel with other agencies that if you forget what everybody else said, you can always come to our office because we have all of this information at our center. We do like to be the first place that you come to when you're thinking about starting a business, or if you have any kind of situation or issue that you are having with your business, if you're an existing business. We are a resource at City Hall available to assist you with all aspects of having a business here in the city. So with that, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background on why our office was created. So these are some numbers. Basically, small business is the economic engine of San Francisco. We hear a lot about that in the press, and we do have the numbers to prove it. 99% of San Francisco registered businesses are businesses with 0 to 100 employees. There are over 71,000 registered San Francisco businesses. This was actually earlier this year. So we haven't gotten recent numbers, but initially at one point when we opened our office, it was a lot higher, and then as the economy took a hit, we saw a lot of people go out of business, unfortunately. But we're starting to see a resurgence of people starting, and actually also in the down economy, what we noticed was that people that may have gotten laid off wanted to try to do something for themselves because they weren't able to get jobs. So we were seeing a lot of those folks coming in, starting, home-based consulting businesses to janitorial businesses, all types of businesses, people trying to just make a living for themselves. Over 58,000 of those are sole proprietors, and I would say that that's the majority of the people that we assist through our center. And that goes to the fact that a lot of these folks are just trying to do it themselves, and these are a young person who was laid off, who needs some assistance, can't afford to have attorneys to help them, so they're doing everything themselves, and usually they're starting a sole proprietorship, which is one of the simplest ways to start a business. A little bit more background about who we are. So in November 2003, San Francisco voters passed Proposition D, which was a ballot initiative creating a chartered small business commission to oversee the Office of Small Business. So going back to 1999, there's always been a commission, and this is an appointed body by the mayor and the board of supervisors who meets regularly at City Hall to discuss policy, legislation that's being introduced both at the mayoral level and the board level that might impact small business. So there are small business owners, or 7 of them, and that they need to discuss that policy and make recommendations to the board and the mayor. In November 2007, voters approved Proposition I, defining the functions and duties of the Office of Small Business and requiring the office to operate a small business assistance center, which is what you have now at City Hall on the first floor as of 2008. And we focus on the San Francisco businesses with fewer than 100 employees. So it's pretty much, like I said, 99% of all San Francisco businesses. Directed by the Small Business Commission, the Office of Small Business and the Small Business Assistance Center function as a city central point of information, assistance, and referral to San Francisco small businesses. We have an executive director, a senior policy person, a business case manager, and a systems person, and 2 full-time business case managers. And that's my role as one of the business case managers. And what that really means is that when you come into City Hall, you'll speak to me one-on-one. We meet with you, sit down with you one-on-one. It's really customized, so we listen to what you're wanting to do if you're looking to start up, or what your issues might be if you're an existing business. And we really try to give you resources or help you navigate the whole permitting and starting a business process. And I'm going to get into a little bit more about our missions and goals. You can see there. And now we get into some of the services that we offer. So I touched on this a little bit. We do have multilingual customized information and assistance, and that's via our business case managers. So again, clients receive one-to-one assistance from us, who provide information on all the considerations from startup to expansion to relocation. Clients receive a customized checklist of local, state, and federal requirements by business type and continue to work with the business case manager through the many stages of development. So while we are a city government agency, and we could definitely tell you about the rules and regs for starting and doing business here in the city, we also over the years have gained the knowledge of some of the state and federal regulations as well. We don't know everything, but what I like to tell people is usually you have a question and we can't answer it, we also do that research for you. And we can usually provide you a pretty good idea of all of the regulations across all government agencies. And I think we're probably one of the only places that does that. We also provide technical assistance coordination. So Mark touched on this a little bit. We can't do what we do without all of our partner organizations. And so we do rely on our partner organizations like Working Solutions and the SBA training, as well as a whole host of other ones, and they're all listed in our booklet, to provide that technical assistance. So we encourage people when they come to our office, if they don't have any business background, to really contact these organizations to get that training to help develop a business plan. And we also provide them information about all kinds of other resources available, from legal to financing, business management, procurement, certification, and more. And let's see, business program promotion. We also market and promote and retail city business programs that are available, including Jobs Now, which is a wage subsidy program, and there's a whole bunch of them. I won't get too much into them. The other one is the Working Solutions revolving loan fund that we have with them. It's a city loan fund, but Working Solutions is administering it. And so this is a place, again, where if you want to know if there's any kind of business programs that will help your business, whether it's financially or you need legal resources. Again, you can come to our office and you can find out about any kind of business programs that are available to small businesses. There's also tax credits and incentives. There's an enterprise zone in the city where if you're located within the enterprise zone, there's credits that you can take for a business in the enterprise zone. And so we have all of that information at our center, City Hall. There's green business programs, for example, an energy watch program. That's a program where the city can help you do an audit of your business and figure out what the energy use is and offer you rebate programs to install energy efficiency equipment, for example. There's a facade improvement program that was dying out a little bit right now, and others. And they, depending on if there's a new program, we'll usually know about it. We'll definitely provide that information to you. Kind of on that note, I would encourage you to sign up for our e-bulletin. We have a monthly bulletin that we provide once a month, and that has information about procurement opportunities, business programs, upcoming legislation, all sorts of information that's really good for you to be aware of. The other services that we offer have to do again with the commission side of our office, and this is policy advocacy. So again, we do have a commission that meets and they review legislation that's being put forward that's going to impact small business. You recently may have heard about the bag ban. So these are types of things that are being proposed by the board or the mayor, and they're going to impact small business. So the commission reviews it and makes recommendations. Lots of times their recommendations aren't really considered, and sometimes they are. So we have had some wins, but at the end of the day, we still somewhat lack teeth to really make any difference. But I think we are getting more and more, we're having a better impact, and the commission, the supervisors and mayor are taking note of the commission and considering more and more their recommendations. So it's only going to, I think, get better. Outreach and education, we do promote and celebrate small business through partnership initiatives and annual events such as Shop Local and Small Business Week. Small Business Week is something that we partner with the SBA on. It's an annual week-long celebration of small business where we offer a workshop, one-day workshop with a number of different business classes. So far they've all been free and real successful. There's a ton of stuff that happens. It's usually the second week of May. Do we have the date for this?
Second week of May.
Second week of May, okay. So look out for that. If you're on our e-bulletin, you'll definitely get information about that. It's a great event. I would encourage you to all attend. And let's see, online and print resources, which I talked about a little bit, are how to start a business. We also have put together, just in the course of doing our work, we get questions from folks and we might not know. We do that research that I mentioned earlier. So we've started to put together some what you need to know about certain things, whether it's industry specific questions or how to get insurance for your business, those sorts of things. Those are usually like 1-2 page flyers that are, I think, somewhat helpful to businesses. And also what you need to know about disabled access requirements and more. And this is something that's really important right now in the city. A lot of our small businesses are being sued for not being accessible to people with disabilities. And so we have put together some packets, some information about what you need to know about accessibility in your business and ways to comply with the law, as well as resources available. We worked with one of the other nonprofit organizations, Opportunity Fund, who's a nonprofit lender, to offer small business loans specific to businesses that are needing to make access improvements to their business. So these are the different things that kind of come up via our office. These are ways that you can access our service via email. And okay, I left my card, so feel free to take that. My personal email and phone number are on there. This is just the office information. Right now we are available for walk-ins Monday through Thursday, beginning on the 9th, the week of the 9th of October. We'll go back to full staffing, meaning that you can come in Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We're open through lunch and you can access us via walk-in. We can also schedule appointments if you prefer that. So we have been cut back on our staffing, and we just hired another person, so we're able to go back to full staffing. And we also do provide after-hours appointments. So I've had situations where someone can't make it to the office till 5, and I'll schedule something till 5 or even 6. And so that's by request, obviously. And we do have services available in English, Spanish, and Chinese. So that's I was also asked to talk a little bit about just some challenges faced by small businesses that we see through our center, things to avoid and that sort of stuff. I would say probably the biggest challenge that small businesses face have to do with lack of financing capital. We do see a lot of our folks that cannot get that, so we do rely on our nonprofit lenders, but also lack of planning, business planning. A lot of people, like I said, are maybe, or like Mark pointed out, are very good at what they do, but they don't know about, managing a business or putting together a business plan. So again, we really rely on our partner organizations that we can refer them to, because there's obviously some things that we do not do in-house. We don't do the legal stuff and or the business planning. So we refer out for those types of services to all of our partner organizations. But also permitting and licensing, bureaucracy, we hear a lot of that from small business, particularly in the cases where the business that they might be looking to start requires multi-agency permitting or multi-governmental agency permitting, sometimes local, state, and federal as well, trying to get to all of the requirements that they need for their particular type of business, and working with those various agencies. Oftentimes those agencies have had cutbacks at their departments. So like the Secretary of State, for example, at one point was very behind in processing LLCs and corporations. They've gotten a little bit better now, but that's something that small businesses complain about and have to face. It's real, and that hinders them from getting started. And just permitting and license across the board, also with our local agencies. If you need building permits or zoning, I would say that's another challenge, not knowing the local government laws and regulations. And so we are that agency that you can come to, and we'll, again, listen to what you want to do, whether it's, first suggesting that you get some training before proceeding and figuring out your financing. But we do like to be that first place where people come, even way in the beginning, and we can continue to work with you throughout. Because if you come to us initially, we can kind of go over all the considerations, so you kind of start to begin to have an idea of what's going to be required, and so that you can build your budget. Building permits and zoning oftentimes can hold back your project. Sometimes you might be paying rent. We do have this happen often, where someone signs a lease, maybe they didn't check the zoning of the property, and they're beginning to pay rent while they have to go through something called the conditional use authorization, which we see a lot here in the city. There's land use laws that govern or regulate what type of business goes where, and a lot of permits, a lot of types of businesses require the conditional use authorization, which alone is a 4 to 6 month process, plus more money before you know if you can even get approval to have your business in that space. So you might be paying rent. And again, we like to talk to folks about all of these considerations, including if that's the case, you want to find out ahead of time before signing a lease, so that you can put some contingencies in your lease that allow you to get out of it if your conditional use is not approved, for example. And we've seen these situations, so that's why we speak to that. But also the ADA is a big consideration. There's also in San Francisco something called impact fees for new projects or expansion of projects that you need to budget for. So we've seen situations where a 2,000 square foot cafe, for example, has had a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 water capacity charge just for that water capacity, meaning that they go into a space, maybe the space was not already a food type business, you're going to have an increased usage on the city's water and wastewater system. And so the city's going to charge you a one-time fee to capture that added increase in usage. And so these are things that I think a lot of small businesses don't think about. They don't know what to ask for, and that's a challenge for them, because at the end of the day, they might be started on a project and then figure out that they don't have enough money to complete it. We can give you a rundown of all of that, and again, continue to work with you. So you might leave and say, wow, I didn't realize that, I need to go raise more money, and then you can come back to us when you're a little bit more financed and ready to start that process. So I think that's a big challenge. Let's see. Also, just lack of business planning. So things to avoid is not planning ahead, not taking the time to do a business plan. A lot of people don't feel that they need it, but we really feel that it's important for folks to do that exercise, to have a business plan, to start to think about their business in the future, which is really important. And let's see. think that probably covers it, and I can just leave, I can stop there, maybe just take questions later. And with that,
Go right ahead.
Question for Mark there. Recently I came across some information regarding Patriot Express. Can you talk about that program?
Yeah, sure.
This question was around the Patriot Express program.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. The SBA Patriot Express program is an SBA lending program, an approach that our SBA lenders, our regular guarantee lenders, can make loans to not just veterans, but also veterans and spouses and relatives, if you will. So it's a little bit more expansive than just making loans to vets. The idea is to really be able to streamline the process for veterans loans to get access to credit. And there's a couple of lenders that are very active in it, a couple of them in the Bay Area that do that. For small loans, for loans that are under 20,000, Superior Financial Group is one that does it. There's a relatively small pool of lenders that do Patriot Express loans as a subset of what they do with other lending. They do other SBA lending, but they use the Patriot Express approach to be able to streamline their process. The main thing about Patriot Express is that we lower the documentation expectation and increase the delegated authority to the lenders to be able to make loans to vets, to try to be able to expedite that process. So there's not a different credit criteria that applies, and there's not a different fee structure that applies. So the interest rates and the fees are similar. It's really about the documentation and the timing it takes to get a loan. So if you're interested in getting a loan, right now the SBA lending, I didn't mention the scale of SBA lending. We do loans that are down to as low as, in the regular guarantee program, down to as low as 10 to 20,000 and up to 5 million. So it's a wide range, and it's obviously a very different market to look for bigger loans than it is with those smaller, earlier stage loans. But Patriot Express, typically we're seeing that to be smaller loans that for folks who are looking to get early stage financing in their business. So if that's something you're looking for, I can connect you with a lender that does that. Is that?
No, I just try to find out because I'm helping some of the small businesses around, and
Okay.
one of the statistics I've seen is that people returning from military service that do go start small businesses have a much higher success rate than just the average entrepreneur going and starting a business. And so I was wondering, it's not easily found, this Patriot Express,
Right.
And so I'm working with a couple of groups trying to figure out how we can get access to for some people.
Yeah, I would say, it's important to be aware of that, but I don't think that should be a limiting condition about who you look to for financing. I think that it's important, a couple things. First off, it's important for us to be able to make sure that vets, especially people who are returning and people who are exiting out of the military and interested in starting a business, have an understanding of how the SBA programs work for them. But still, the key piece of this is that from a borrower's point of view, whether it's a Patriot Express loan or a micro loan, to have a good understanding of what is it that a lender is looking for. That fundamental piece is still the case. We're actually working and going to be working further in a more intense way with people who are coming out of the military in a training program, a more in-depth training program for entrepreneurs that are coming out. One of the challenges that a lot of people who are coming out of the military, this is different than a veterans audience in a general way, is that they are starting a business. Obviously, they were in the military, and if they're looking to leave and start entrepreneurship as a track, they would be starting a business. A lot of them are looking to understand whether franchising is a good opportunity for them. So we're talking about that as a track because that is, for many folks, kind of the direction that they come out of the military into a franchising kind of an arrangement, which is sort of a structured small business environment that is, for startups, many times the way they go. But as far as financing is concerned, Patriot Express is just one of the things that people should be aware of. The key thing really is not so much the program, but the understanding of what a lender is going to be looking for. And I think that one of the things we try to do is to let people who are looking for financing see and understand it from the point of view of what a lender is looking for. And one of the things that's frustrating to me is that when folks go and looking for financing and they don't know what a bank is looking for. They're asking questions and going to them really with the wrong approach. Going in and asking, how much can I borrow? It's the wrong, kind of question. It sort of cancels out their effort by starting off on the wrong foot. So we spent a lot of time trying to make sure that a small business person that's looking for financing understands what a lender is going to be looking for, understanding that they have to be able to show that they make sales, that they have cash flow, that they have profitability in their business, that they have collateral that's available, that they can pledge it for their loan, the kind of things that a lender is going to expect. And it's important for us to make sure that a borrower or potential borrower understands what the bank is going to be looking for to be, to really be able to put the best case forward to be able to get financing. So it's been, I think, especially for those businesses that are early stage startup businesses or early stage financing, it's really an important piece of it to be able to prepare people for what the expectation of commercial financing is about. Better for them to ask questions that are early stage questions that are of folks like Kelly and the SBA partners out there than to be going to a bank and be looking for financing and get canceled out. One of the things small business folks always have a problem with, they spend a huge amount of time looking for financing and get turned down by a number of lenders. And I think that for us, it's our responsibility to make sure that we give them the kind of preparation that they are efficient about looking for financing and know what their circumstance is and the probability of getting it at this point in time. It may be that they need partners, they need some other equity, part of the business. But an important part of this is giving people a reality-based expectation, of getting financing. So it's not just the programs that are important, but it's the preparation.
Are you aware that JFK University has a program for returning vets, training them as entrepreneurs?
I am, and there are, amongst the organizations or amongst the educational institutions out there doing that, I think that they're one of the few.
Hi, this question is maybe for Martha or any of you, but can you talk a little bit about any of the local government subsidies around job creation, tax credits, payroll credits, things like that?
Sure. Sorry about that. So first of all, before I answer your question, I did want to mention a couple of things that I left out in my presentation, one of which is our website, which is sfgov.org/OSB. It's also on my business card, but that's where you can subscribe to our e-bulletin, which again I would encourage you to do. So sfgov.org/OSB. And then the other thing is that I left out was that we partner with all of our nonprofit organizations, but we also partner with city agency departments, and that's how we're able to do a lot of what we do. So we have liaisons in all of our city departments that we can contact on behalf of business owners that might be facing some of those permitting and licensing issues. About your question, there is a wage subsidy program that was initially funded through money that we received from the federal government back in 2008, the Obama administration. And the city decided to do a wage subsidy program basically so that for businesses that are looking to hire San Francisco residents, I should say, they can qualify. It's kind of changed over time. It's now in its fourth version, but essentially if a business wants to hire a resident, and these folks are people who are receiving some sort of government monetary assistance from the city. If you hire through this program, you can get reimbursed up to $1,000 per month for 5 months total. So a total of $5,000 of wage subsidy. So if you sign up with our Human Services Agency that's administering the program, it's called Jobs Now, and if you contact me, I can send you some additional information on it. But basically, you would sign up as an employer looking to hire through this program, through the city's Human Services Agency. They would work with you to get from you a job description of the type of job that you're looking to fill. And they would look through their database of eligible qualified folks and try to match somebody to you who has the experience or expertise that you need. You would be able to interview them just as you would anybody else, and should you decide to hire them, you would bring them on board just as you would anybody else, pay them, and then submit for reimbursement from the city, so up to $1,000 per month for 5 months total. And there's no obligation that you maintain this person on staff afterwards. The city hopes that they'd be able to work out for you and have helped you in your business, that you would keep them, but there's no obligation to do that. And then the enterprise loan is a pretty large section of the city. I can also send you some information about that. I didn't bring specific handouts, but it's pretty much the whole downtown financial district, southeast sector of the city. So if a business locates in that zone, you can be eligible for higher-end tax credits, sales and use tax credits. There's a number of them. And there might be some information in our booklet on that. Otherwise, again, I could send you some more specifics on that program. Let's see, what else is there available right now? Those are the two main ones I think come to mind.
Payroll tax credit?
Oh, so the payroll tax in San Francisco there is a small business exemption currently, and if you're a business whose payroll is under $250,000 annually, you'd be exempt from San Francisco's business tax, which is 1.5% of payroll. So under $250,000, you're exempt. There is a pending ballot initiative that I think is going to be on the November ballot to change our structure, our business tax structure, to a gross receipts tax structure. We're the only city, I believe, in the nation who has a payroll tax-based business tax structure, and I believe it's going to be called Proposition E. Probably Google it and get some more information about those details. But yes, the exemption right now is less than $250,000.
Martha? Oh, go ahead.
Mark, could you talk a little bit about your community advantage and small loan advantage loan program?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that SBA recognized is let me give you a little bit of context first. SBA lending has creeped up in size of loans over the last couple of years. I was just looking at this morning. We're at the end of our year, and in California, the average SBA loan is about $550,000. So we'll do about 7,500 loans in California. Average loan size is about $550,000. So I think that one of the things that we recognize is that since the Great Recession, our lending went down and now it's come back up. But what has happened is it's come back up for larger loans, stronger businesses, and bigger deals. And so as a consequence, the smaller loans and that, which correlates with younger businesses, which correlates, with people who are starting businesses, which typically, as Barbara said, are women, minority businesses. So the proportion of our SBA lending, to early stage businesses, and particularly the diversity of our lending, has really changed in the last couple of years because of the fact that everybody is moving, lenders and borrowers are moving up market, if you will. So what's happened is that the SBA lending program has gone to stronger businesses, bigger deals, and stronger credits. And so while that's, understandable from a lender's point of view, from a small business agency point of view, and from a small business point of view, earlier and smaller business loans are really harder to get. So one of the things that SBA, is tough. We guarantee loans, we don't make direct loans. So we're not in a position of saying how we can force an access to a market that is looking for smaller deals and smaller credits, unless we can find a way to incent the lenders to see a way to do it. So we really have kind of tried two approaches on this. One is the small lender advantage, which is to try to have our small business lenders be able to get access to first off, SBA will expedite the process and lower the documentation expectation for small lenders, who in this case are not guaranteed or not preferred lenders to SBA, but can get access to an expedited process to try to get approval on the loans. And again, to try to make the cost to a lender lower to be able to allow them to make access to credit for smaller deals happen. So small lender advantage is one that we're trying to do to get the lenders to look to smaller deals and make that worth their while. If we make the process faster and cheaper, they'll make smaller loans because it's still in their sense of the bottom line is still worth their while to do those smaller deals. So small lender advantage is around trying to make the process expedited for the lenders to do smaller deals. Community advantage is a completely different approach, and that's really recognizing that there are a group of lenders that are in the community that do SBA loans in micro lending or in the Certified Development Company program, which is the 504 program. There are SBA partners, but they can't use the SBA guarantee loan program because they're not 7(a) regulated lenders. In other words, they're not banks that FDIC and other regulators are really having as regulated partners. They're not really banks, they're nonprofits, and they do other kind of lending. It's something that SBA has never done before, but this year what we're doing is we're bringing in nonprofits that are otherwise SBA partners or community development financial institutions, CDFIs, to be able to do SBA 7A, in other words, a guaranteed loan program. Working Solutions is TMC Working Solutions is one of the community advantage lending partners. There's about, in California, there's about 8 that are community advantage lenders. There's 3 of them that are very active. Oakland Business Development Corporation, OBDC in Oakland, is the most active. Frankly, they'll be the most active in the country by the end of the year at the pace they're going. And what they're really recognizing is that they're a tier of lending that's smaller than SBA loans. I mentioned it's about $550,000 is the average SBA loans. Community advantage lending right now is about $130,000 is the average loan size there. Again, this is different than our microloan program, which goes up to $50,000. But what we recognize is that the tier above micro lending is still one that small business lenders, community lenders, really don't see as a target for them. So community advantage is really targeted at that deal from, if you will, from the 50, we'd like it to be in the 50 to 100, but really it's in the 50 to 200 range. And so that's the segment of the business lending community that OBDC, Small Business Finance in Oakland, and down the road, Opportunity Fund and Working Solutions and some of the other nonprofits. The idea really is to try to see that if we can bring in some mission-based lenders, lenders who are nonprofits, they're really not in the program because they're a bank, a regulated bank, but they're a nonprofit that is trying to find and reach a mission of reaching small business, are a partner that we can bring in. It's a different approach that SBA has had. I think, frankly, SBA is a little hesitant to move into that area. The idea that we would be effectively a regulator for these nonprofit SBA lenders is something that we had historically never done. But we recognize that in order to get to that part of the market that is the smaller deals, and also those deals that are going to be more likely to reach women and minority borrowers, we have to do it with a different approach. So this is a relatively new piece. It's a little bit of a challenge because the nonprofit lending community, it's brand new to them to move into SBA lending. So for them, big banks are accustomed to it. Nonprofits is a brand new thing, so it's taken a little while to get some traction in it. But I think that over time, what we recognize is that if we're going to reach a mission of getting to the borrowers that we really believe that are the future opportunities for us, you have to do it with a different process and a different approach. So I think that's what Community Express or Community Advantage might be able to do.
So OBDC is the current one.
Yeah, OBDC, VEDC, Valley Economic Development Corporation down in Southern California, and CDC, Small Business Finance, which is out of San Diego, but all 3 operate statewide. And all 3 have Bay Area representatives, and we can get you connected with any of those folks.
Thank you.
Could you just talk to me a little bit about the loan for buying the building?
It could be done in any of our programs. It's not limited to a particular program. The 504 program, or the development company loan program, is exclusively for real estate purchase, for owner and users. So while other SBA programs could also be used to buy real estate to operate your business from, it's really, we speak of the 504 program because that's really the one that targets specifically to real estate purchase. The limiting conditions are, it really is for owner users, so you have to actually buy a building that you're occupying and running your business from. You can lease out less than half of the building, but typically we're still trying to find, building a home for your business is really what the idea should be. The structure of both programs is, and two real reasons why it makes sense for small businesses to buy a building with an SBA loan. One is much higher leverage than you could otherwise get. 90% typically, there are different structures, but it's 90% financing for business owners. 10% of the building's cost will be put in as a down payment by the borrower, 90% financed either by an SBA 7A loan or from a structure of 504 structure. From commercial lenders, they're typically looking 65 or 70%. So what really allows a small business person to do is buy a building with a lot less of their equity in the building and more of their equity in their business. Really the logic of why we're trying to do that. The other reason is it's much longer term than would otherwise be the case from a small business lender. Many lenders do shorter term loans, even though they could amortize over longer periods of time. They do shorter term loans for commercial financing. So one of the things that we have seen is that as those 5-year short-term financing from commercial lenders come due, if valuations on properties go down, or if the business has circumstances that, that look more risky, then they have problems with getting renewals on those deals. So the SBA 504 program allows a borrower to have a 20-year term as a fixed rate term, which right now is like 4.2%, which is, in the history of everything, is the lowest rates that have ever been the case. So it's the lowest rates, the longest term, and the highest leverage. Those are really the key things. And so if you're a small business and looking to buy a building, and your broker is not telling you about 504, you should find another broker, because that's really the product approach that small business commercial buildings is the best financing.
Just following up on that question, in order to qualify, I'm assuming that you need to do all the usual things for a small business, meaning you have to present a business plan, the whole experience, the fact that you're likely to succeed in that space. Can you talk about the realities that you just can't go find a building and say, okay, I'm going to start a business and I've never run it before?
Yeah, no, this is not a startup approach. The logic of the 504 program is that, again, the borrower that is in existing business, rather than leasing a space, buying the building they're in, and being able to access that financing for that with high leverage, is able to put their working capital to use in expanding their business. That's the logic of the program. Expanding their business means hiring people, expanding employment. So the public policy approach to that high leverage financing is that businesses grow faster and they hire more people. That's kind of the summary of that. This is really a startup approach. So the 504 program is really for existing businesses that are really looking to find real estate, to expand their business, and be able to do it with a high leverage SBA loan that allows them to put their working capital to use in their business. So no, it's not a startup approach. You don't buy a building and say, what kind of business am I going to do? So it really is the case that what we're looking to do is really for established businesses in the 504 program.
And last question, and if I could just mention really quickly, we have a yellow sheet in your packet, and that's the evaluation form. And before you guys leave, you can please fill that out and leave it on your desk. That'd be great. And go ahead and take that last question.
Wasn't there a section or a portion of the 504 that just expired? There was some sort of funding that just expired?
Yeah, real briefly on that, it's going to expire this week. It's the refinancing. And I mentioned the 504 refinancing was something that was in the Jobs Act 2 years ago that we've been able to do. It will run through the end of this year. I think it's something that may be taken up in Congress next go around because it doesn't take any funding. It's an approach. Really, in this case, it allows small businesses to refinance real estate that they're in that has debt on it that is higher cost debt, or is debt that, as I said, the lender is not able to roll and continue to extend financing. So it allows a borrower to take advantage of an SBA refinancing for 504. The 504 program is really a purchase or build a building. Refinancing is really kind of a special case for us here. One last thing before I lose track of. One of the things that's important, in a session like this, and I totally understand this is preaching to the choir, but it really is the case that for small businesses, especially those that are relatively new, or for those folks of us, all of us, and there's a number of us in the room that really see and counsel small business. To Barbara's point, having a voice and getting involved in community activities, the kind of things that Martha talks about. Getting involved in working in the community and being involved in organizations is so much an important piece of having a voice for small business. I can't tell you how unique San Francisco is in the fact that small businesses are active, are engaged, and do have a voice, but that's not the case across the country. And so San Francisco, we live in a bubble in a lot of ways. Our Small Business Week is the only place in the country that does it like that. You don't have small business commissions, you don't have small business assistance centers in the same way that we have here in San Francisco. But a lot of that depends on small businesses being the ones who have pushed for those things to be the case. So, if you're going to start a small business and you're not going to be connected to the community, then you're on the wrong track. You've got to be connected to the community. The second thing is that the wealth of opportunities to take advantage of resources is here stronger than anywhere else. And anybody who is not doing that is costing themselves from the kind of things that you can get early stage for free to help your business grow at a point in time when you really need to take advantage of what resources are out there. So I think the message for all of us, to proselytize, if you will, is to make sure that everybody understands that in starting a business in San Francisco, there's a lot of great resources. If people try to do it without those, they're trying to lift by themselves. You need to be able to help people get the lift that they, it's tough to run a small business. Small business entrepreneurs are the most incredible people, but if they have to do it all themselves, it's not possible. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we get that message out. Thanks, Elsie.
Thank you. That was great. Any comments from our other panelists before we wrap up? I just want to say Martha's office of small business is phenomenal. I recommend any small business owner that gets started starts there first, because that's where you're going to say, oh, I need to do that. Oh, I need to do that. Instead of, on the back end saying, oh, I wish I had done that. I wish I had done that. So if I were you, that would be my first call. So a little bit of information.
Oh, one thing that I did forget to mention, we do have the commission members that meet regularly at City Hall. Our meetings are open to the public, and you should be engaged because they usually are reviewing policy that is going to impact you. So back to the comments that were made earlier, definitely look at our website, see what's on the agenda. If it's something that might impact you, then you should come and speak during public comment or write to the commission, and your voice will be heard that way.
Thank you guys so much for joining us, and go ahead.
I just want to thank you for having all of us here to participate with you. Take advantage of the resources that Martha and Mark bring to you from their respective organizations and Pacific Community Ventures. All of these organizations, these are what will help you grow your business. And they're here because you have made it possible for them to be here. So, thank you.
And thank you everyone for coming this morning, and I wish you a great day and week.